Hey guys, this is Jimmy from JimmyMathTutoring. Today we're going to look at this 2020 Euclid question number 8a. So just a quick reminder, if you see this symbol before any question on the Euclid, that means it is a full solution question. You're going to have to write out all of your steps in detail in order to get full marks on the question. All right, let's just jump right in. So the question is like this. There are four tennis players, Alan, Bianca, Chen, and Dave, who we'll call A, B, C, and D for simplicity. And they are in a tennis tournament with a total of 3 matches. Okay, so there's 3 matches in here. And the style is as follows. First, 2 players are chosen randomly to play each other. Then the other 2 players also play each other. Then the winners of the 2 matches play the tournament, play each other to decide the tournament champion. So here's sort of how the layout will be. Suppose we have 2 players. Now they play against each other, and there is a winner between them. Now there is another match, and these two also play each other, and they also develop a winner. Now these two play against each other, and the one who comes out on top wins the entire tournament. So suppose, let's just fill it in. Suppose A and B play each other, and C and D play each other for the first round. Then suppose A wins on this side, and D wins on the other side. And suppose in that second round, D beats out A and wins the whole tournament. That is an example of a tournament that could possibly unfold. Now, what does the question ask us? Well, we know that A, B, and C are all equally matched. What does equally matched mean? It means that whenever any two of these play each other, the probability that each player wins is always equal, which is just 1/2. However, Dave is not like the other three. When Dave plays against A, B, and C, the probability that Dave wins is P, for some real number P. And now, of course, the important thing to remember about probability is that it's always between 0 and 1. So we already know that there is a restriction on P, which is that it's greater than equal to 0, less than equal to 1. Okay, all probabilities are like that. Now, the question asks, determine the probability that Bianca wins the tournament and express the answer in this form, AP squared plus BP plus C divided by D, where A, B, C, and D are integers. Take note of the form. A lot of Waterloo contest questions ask you to represent the answer in a specific way. And if you don't do it the way they want to, you could lose marks. Okay, so write it in this form. Now, let's define a probability function. Let's define P name to be the probability that name wins the tournament. Okay, because ultimately we're trying to find out the probability of PB, right? The question is asking us for what this is equal to. Well, what do we have in the question that we can start to build an answer from? Well, we know that the probability that Dave wins 1 match is P. Okay, and if we go back to our example here, we'll notice something very interesting. Look at Dave. He plays against C, moves on to the second round, where he plays against A, and then wins the whole tournament. In fact, if you notice, the winner of the tournament is always going to play and win 2 matches in the tournament. They're going to have to win the first round as well as the second round, like what Dave did here. So the probability that Dave wins, the whole tournament is equal to the probability of him winning the first round, which is P, as well as him winning in the second round, which is also P. Which means the probability of Dave winning the whole tournament is P squared. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We have the probability that Dave wins. Well, what about Bianca? Well, let's see. What else is there in this question? We are missing something very crucial, which we haven't used in. And that is that A, B, and C are equally matched. So the probability that A, B, and C wins against each other is always 1/2. And the probability that A, B, and C wins against Dave is always 1 minus p. Okay, complementary counting. We can also use complementary probability here to figure out the probability of someone other than Dave winning the tournament. Okay, because all probabilities have to add up to 1. So the probability of someone other than Dave winning, so P not Dave, is just equal to the total probability, which is 1, subtract the probability that Dave wins the tournament, which is equal to 1 minus P squared. Now, remember that the probabilities of A, B, and C winning against each other is equal, as well as the probability of A, B, and C winning against Dave, which is just 1 minus P. This means that A, B, and C are equally matched for not just the games themselves, but also for the tournament probability. Because they are equally likely to win against each other, as well as against Dave. So the probability of any one of them winning the tournament is equal. That is very important, okay? Because the probability of not Dave winning the tournament is the probability of A, B, or C winning the tournament. And since all three of them are equal, then the probability of one individual person winning the tournament is just the probability of not Dave winning divided by 3, because they share the same probability. So from this, we know that PC is equal to PB, which is Bianca's probability, is equal to PA, which is equal to 1 minus P squared divided by 3. Okay, the probabilities of any one of these 3 guys or 3 people winning the tournament is equal. Now, we have our answer, right? The probability that Bianca wins the tournament is 1 minus P squared divided by 3. But let's take a look at the question. It asks us to represent the form in AP squared plus BP plus C divided by D. Okay, so let's just rearrange and do that. We can put negative P squared plus 0 times P plus 1 divided by 3. Okay, and in this case, we have A is equal to negative 1, B is equal to 0, C is equal to 1, and D is equal to 3. Does this fit the form that we want? Let's check. A, B, and C, D are integers. Indeed it does. Therefore, we know that our answer to this question is just this fraction right over here.